Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us again in our weekly Kitson Migration Advisory Facebook Live. Today, we are here to share with you on a special visa, a very special visa where we call Global Talent Visa Program, GTI. This is a visa program where the Australia government designed to attract special talent people like yourself to migrate to Australia for a PR. And for those who are first time with us, we will appreciate that if you click the like button on our page to follow our update from time to time. Further ado, today we have two distinguished speakers with us, with Ms. Dorothy Zhang and also our founder, Dato Michael Yong. A bit about Ms. Dorothy. Ms. Dorothy is a registered migration agent. He is also a qualified international education consultant. He holds an MBA from Adelaide U, and he has been doing this migration services for more than 20 years. And Dorothy is actually based in Adelaide, Australia. He is not in Malaysia. Better place, I believe so.
Yes, correct.
Next on the line is the speaker, is our founders and also our current managing director, Dato Michael Yong. Dato Michael Yong is a registered migration agent also with the authority. He also at the same time hold the license for New Zealand migration. Dato Yong have been running his own business for more than 30 years and have been providing migration services for Australia migration for more than 10 years. Without further ado, I would like to pass the floor to Dato Michael for him to introduce a bit about Kitson migration. Dato?
Thank you very much, Jimmy. Firstly, I would just want to say a big thank you to Dorothy for joining us in this webinar. We are glad to partner with her in terms of doing some of the unique visa and also in terms of the high-level visa. So we are so glad that I got to know her through Immigration South Australia. So through the South Australia government, got to know her, and then from there we formed an alliance. And today she will come in to share with you about the Global Talent Visa. So just a little bit background about Kitson Migration, those of you who are new to us. Kitson Migration has been operating for more than 11 years. So our head office started in Brisbane. It is still running there in Brisbane. They have been there for the last 20 over years. And then from there, we branch out to Malaysia, where currently myself and Jimmy and my team are based in Kuala Lumpur. So we have offices in the north, which is in Penang. We have an office in PJ. And then we expand to East Malaysia, to Brunei, and recently to Indonesia. So in terms of supporting our client, what we have, we also have two local staff based in Adelaide. One is Timothy O, and the other one is Miss Moon. So Miss Moon, myself, and obviously Dorothy, we are all registered migration agents. So our team of registered migration under the Kitson Migration umbrella and our head office partner, we have 6 licensed migration agents, where each of my colleagues specialize in a very particular visa. So the reason why we do that is that we want to make sure that our client get the best service, and our team that is managing your file are very experienced on that particular visa. So similarly with Dorothy coming in to partner with us, we are glad that she has done through multiple global talent visa, and she is one of the agents that has got approval on the visa for her client in Australia. So in terms of my colleague, the founder is Helen Duncan. So she has been running this migration business for many, many years. And if you look at her license number, starting with 000, so she has been in this business for more than 20 years as a registered migration agent. So before that, she actually attached to the Immigration Australia as a consultant. So myself and Moon, we are both Malaysian. So we are very specialized in the business and the skill visa. So why Kitson Migration? Now, obviously, our team of agents are all registered. So you're rest assured that you have a consumer protection on there. And then you have a professional people behind you handling your file. Some of my colleagues are lawyer by profession, and we have a chartered accountant in our office. Her role is just to crunch the number for those who are going in for the business visa. So we have 6 registered agents under our umbrella. And in terms of experience, with the app together, we have more than 30 years of experience. And in terms of customer, we have already reached more than 5-digit, more than 14,000 customers, and it's still growing. Just Malaysia itself, we have more than thousands of applications. Every year we service about 200 over family. So in terms of the operation, we have already more than 10 years in operating in Malaysia. So what service do we provide, right? As the registered migration agent, we are very careful in terms of how we give our advice. We ensure that you are only eligible before we start your application. Obviously, when we assess you for the first time, it's free of charge. We will tell you what are the things you expect and what are the area of risk it may happen if there is, and what are the likelihood of your application and what are the stage of the application and the timeline. And then once you are satisfied with our initial consultant and you decide to proceed on with the application, we will map up the visa pathway to you. And then our role is to tell you the cheapest and the shortest pathway. Now, this event today on the Global Talent Visa, I would say is one of the shortest pathway, all right, for you to gain permanent resident. It's a very, very new visa. Later on, when Dorothy comes in, she will go into more detail. So, and then during the whole journey of the application, we'll be there to advise you on the visa application. In terms of your role is to provide us document, and the rest of it, you leave it to us. We will do the submission and the application for you. So our service will be there all the way until the visa decision is given to you. So once you're given a visa decision, we will always look forward for you to contact us. That's why we have a lot of customers become our friends when they move to Australia. That's why when you move to Australia, we even have additional service where we will assist you on the post-grant. So as I share in Adelaide, we have 2 colleagues, Timothy and Miss Moon. So they are there actually to support you if you have any question in terms of the migration requirement, any conversion that you require to. And then in terms of your children education, medical benefit, and those of you who are going for business, we actually assist you to find a business for you to take over or to establish a new business. And then obviously along the way, we will introduce you to accountant to handle your tax. And if you are looking for property, we will also introduce you with developers. Right, without further ado, I will pass the floor to Dorothy, our main speaker. Let's welcome Dorothy.
Before we pass the floor to Dorothy, I would like to request for your cooperation that during the presentation, everybody put their camera and mic to mute, and we will open up the floor for Q&A at the end of the presentation. If you have any question about this visa or any other visa that you have in mind, feel free to ask us at the end of the presentation. And for those who are at our Facebook Live, please type in your question at the comment section. We will try to attend to every one of the questions. But if we were not able to attend to it, not to worry, our team will contact you personally to understand your requirements and your needs and help you to understand more about your option of the Australia migration. Without wasting any more time, I'll pass the floor to Dorothy. Dorothy, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can everybody all see my screen?
Yes, we do.
Okay, alrighty.
No, Dorothy, we are not able to see your slide yet.
Hang on, just give me 1 second. Got it? Ready? Oh, good.
Yes, we have it now. Okay.
Jolly bit of practice on the technology. So good afternoon, everyone. And I would like to say a warm thanks to Michael and Jimmy and the team from Kitson today and give me this opportunity to share with everyone today about this exciting Global Talents Program. So in short, we call it GTI. So I know maybe all of you today dedicate your Saturday afternoon time in this room are all very highly talented and highly skilled professional in your area. So I was really very honored to meet all of you today over the cloud. So in my presentation today, I'll start short with a little bit background of the GTI program, and I'll talk through some of the sectors, requirements, process to apply, and at the end, I'll leave you some time for question. And Jimmy, if you have to do the time controller, if I talk too long, you're welcome to interrupt me. There's quite a lot of information to cover. So what is GTI? So the GTI is a new initiative by the Department of Home Affairs. It was actually fairly, as Michael mentioned about, there was a fairly new visa. It was launched on 4th of November, 2019. So the aim is to attract highly skilled workers from targeted sector to the Australian economy. So it was actually part of the Australian, we call it Global Business Talent Task Force. So the government of Australia hope this work could attract the individuals that from highly skilled sector can boost the Australian economy. So GTI is a visa that the Australian government is heavily promoting as moment. It definitely order a lot of those can qualify. It is the most direct pathway for entrepreneurs, I would say skilled professional and high industrial among of visa categories. It is right now one of the best visa pathway to highly achiever people like you from around the world. So it is very important to talk about the sectors. What are the targeted sectors? So Australian government has now identified 7 key sectors in this program, which government feels are the big growth area for Australian economy in the near future. So as you can read the slides, the targeted sector are agriculture technology, medical technology, financial technology, cybersecurity, energy, mining, technology, space and advanced manufacturing, and also advanced digital data science and ICT. So I'll perhaps stay on these slides a little bit because this is actually the core and a technical information part of the whole GTI. And but it's a little bit dry. But feel free that after this, I'll be reviewing a little bit about targeted sector in the later my presentation. If you have any questions, you can always put in comments in the chat box. So in summary, those sectors are pretty focused on the initiative technology industry, but it's also allow for a range of talents from this field. They're not quite limited just for technical professions. I think it's worthwhile to run through each sector one by one and give you some of the examples of the profession that could relate to in this sector. So I'll start with the agricultural sector. So the overview of the sector will be typically including, by the definition is agriculture, so it's heavily related with the food and agriculture. For instance, it may including any of the processing technologies that used to produce highly differentiated and valued goods. Food science, example of research, skills and roles related in its sector could including, for instance, data science for land and asset management. It could be including agricultural engineering. It may including, for instance, remote sensor or some fancy technologies. So if you're in the right sector, you would know what I'm talking about. So medical technology, obviously, during COVID pandemic, this has been one of the priority sector that Australian government is highly welcoming professions. So medical technology would cover both medical and also pharmaceuticals. Some of the overview of the skills would including clinical therapies, or maybe could including a special area of science that related to biochemical engineering, any special diagnostic science, any special care, and anything to do with medical equipment or any research regarding in this medical technology. So a typical example of roles and skill, perhaps including people like a development manager in medical sector, and any people in disease treatment, any people in research sector. So that's for medical technology. For cybersecurity, again, it is a hot topic. So the overview of the cybersecurity would including IT, artificial intelligence, cloud computing, internet, blockchain management. Some of the typical roles and skills would including if you are doing data analysis, if you are a platform developer, if you are very gifted with anything related with IT, mobile internet, you will be mostly likely considered as high talents people in the sector. So energy mining resources is pretty straightforward. It covers like oil, gas, mining, including resource in the sector. So some of the typical overview of the industry would coming For instance, if you're involved in developing new technologies, business models, and you know, that infrastructure adapt to changing energy, or maybe mining equipment, energy storage, oil and gas supply chain, any kind of advanced mining, beneficiary technologies such as communication, classification would also fit in that boxes. So that's for energy. Space and advanced manufacturing. A lot of people ask me, what is advanced manufacturing? So it would including very important sector like defense. So the typical overview of this sector would cover biomanufacturing, would cover like manufacturing in aerospace, in aviation, anything related to civil security, etc. So example roles and skills would cover if you're in defense training and development, if you're a specialist in engineering, in any industrial manufacturing, you will be mostly likely be considered as the space and advanced manufacturer. So fintech, typical professions in the fintech would including software engineering, anything to do with finance, utilization in the sector. You might some of the developer programmer, or even you are some chief data officer, you'll be also mostly likely covered in the fintech area. Is any sector missing? I think I've covered all of them. And again, if you have any questions, we can talk about in next section. So while Australia, I'm presuming all of you has, the reason you've come into the Zoom today is already done research. You have the interest to considering moving your career and family to Australia. And no doubt, I'm very, felt very happy and thankful that I'm living in Australia for many years. And Australia is a great way to Asian. It's a very great country for family live, and also it is a great country that embraces really multicultural. It respects the skill and high talents people. Australia also has stood as one of the most safest country during COVID-19 pandemic. It also certainly providing a lot of dynamic opportunities for skilled workforce all over the world. So let's have a look at what I'm more talking about is our background of the GTI. So slogan for the GTI program, what they call is attract the best and brightest for Australia. So initial quota, when we talk about migration, and Michael talked about a little bit as well, that everything to do is a quota. So initially, when this visa was first launched in end of 2019, there's only 5,000 spots available globally. So it's really competitive, has a lot of competition. But the good news is that for the new financial year, 2021, so the government actually increased the quota significantly 3 times compared with last year. So I would say this is really a great opportunity right now. So consider this amount. This is a large amount of application by the Australian, innovation program standard. Australian government also committed to offer a lot of support for global talents people. For instance, GTI was put on the priority assessment, streamlined pathway to permanent residency. And also it's a lot of future advices on where and how to relocate it. Once you've been granted a visa, obviously organization like Kitson and King are all very willing to help you with that. But even on the government side, they also offer great support. So once your visa was approved, obviously you will be having chances to connect with a right location and network. And myself is also being recently starting with working with some quite reputable HR organization here. So once your visa was granted, we're very happy to helping you to building some connections with the right people in your area in Australia. Now, so GTI was being so attractive. So let's have a look at some of the benefits. So compare with, I've been in this industry for 20 years, Michael been in 30 years, and no doubt I'm saying that GTI is really being one of the fast visa approved I've ever seen. It has a lot of benefits, like for instance, there's a need for point test. Typically, some other general migration skill program would require you to do your points on your age or qualification. It has limitation of 45 years old. You have to do skill assessment, but none of those are required for GTI. There's no compulsory English requirements as well. I know that all of you all have very good English, but if you're not interested in sitting on doing English TELS test 4.5, which is very easy, you can still get visa approved just by paying a little bit extra, what we call second installment application charges. There's no extra compulsory age limitation. This is a one step direct permanent res pathway. So once you granted this visa, you and your family will have access to Medicare. You will have access to all Australian benefits. You have a full work right in Australia. Your children can go to local school. If you go to public school, basically there's no tuition fee paid. Then, you know, the long run benefit that you could have your family can come and work with you and study in Australia. So, and the long run, for people who are thinking of sponsoring parents over, once your permanent residence was granted, you can sponsor your parents in the future. So I would call it really one apply the whole family benefits visa. The other thing is that GTI was differentiated with some other typical visa, like employer sponsored visa, is there is no need for you to identify employer at this moment to commit it to get a job to do this visa. A lot of people asking me, Dorothy, does that mean I have to find an employer in Australia? The answer is not yet. So because of the visa was purely independently based on your merits and achievements. So that is the reason why it's called a Global Independent Visa Program. So now let's have a look at the process. So GTI has is a two-stage process application. So the step one, candidates needs to lodge in what we call express of interest. Obviously, you can do it by yourself. But the reason that we are holding this seminar today is that we strongly recommend that you do this using the help of professional registered migration agent like Michael and myself, because we will knowing better how to help you to prepare submission. I received numerous inquiries from some of the candidates. When they know the visa, they say, oh, I might fit in, I might have a go, I put it in, but after a few months, they still haven't heard from anything. So when I look at their submissions, it often the way they print themselves is not strong enough. They're probably missing some of the key points of the achievements of themselves. The nominant they identify in Australia is not strong enough, etc., etc. So actually wasting more time. So the expressive interest stage is very important. It's that start of success. So once we get that expressive interest lodged, if you're successful, you will be invited to apply and you will be issued with a what they call unique identifier, which is definitely needed to apply for the visa. Without that invitation, you cannot apply the visa. So once we get that step one done, it moves to next step, which is visa application. Previously, the Global Talent Visa was categorizing onshore and offshore, but as if end of last year, the Department of Home Affairs is actually simplified the process. There's no differentiating of whether you are at this moment physically in Australia or like all of you are pretty much all based offshore. So there will be only one type of visa category. It is called a talent visa, suffix 858, which is an indication that the Department of Home Affairs want to simplify the process to really deliver a more prioritized visa application. So that's basically just two step. I also like to sort of review, remember we've talked about of the 7 sectors earlier. There is another further good news that since beginning January this year, the government is actually widening the sectors. Remember we have 7, but if you count it now, we actually have more sectors. So sectors including infrastructure and tourism, and education is also now included in the GTI sector, which is a really very exciting news. So in summary, you will find that those sectors are pretty much all focused on the initiative technology industry, but it also gives you a range of different talents from those fields. So there is really no limitation to this. Just if you are a technical profession, that's perfect. But some of you may be just highly in management roles. So we can see that the opportunity for this program is actually not only for white hat hectares. It also for entrepreneur, maybe established projects, or if you have new ideas for technologies. So it definitely that the GTI is now more open to the range of global talent. So it is more. I think the message was very, very clear that Australia is welcoming more talents to come on board. So it is, I'd now like to sort of touch through all the key requirements. First of all, when you need to identify, are you in the right sector? Is your skills, is your achievements is highly, recognized? Are you be able to match in the international standards? If you think you are, some of the key criteria including, first of all, you need to show that you have a highly skilled professional where it's international recognized. And I'll talk about that international recognized a bit later. Secondly, you need to demonstrate that you have the capability to earn an annual salary of 153,600. And this is a very important assessing criteria. But however, it is also important to know that if you currently already earn over than that, showing on your pay slip or income letter, that's perfect. However, if it's not, you do not need to be earning a salary now. It is more about, we can demonstrate that your skill is Australian need, that you could potentially earn amount in Australian labor market. So we're happy to helping a candidate to set up the argument to proving that once the visa is granted, you have the capacity to earn that income. So that's the second criteria. The last one, and also the most important one, critical one, that is you need to have an Australian person or organization who is willing to nominate with you for the program. So ideally it needs to be in your same field. So those people, they can endorse your skills. If possible, those people should be the people who could be a peak body. And if it's nominated, this nominant has to be an Australian permanent residency citizen or eligible New Zealand citizens. So what I tend to do is I encourage all the candidates that if you think you're eligible, that you have connection in here, you can go and talk to the people that you think is highly reputable in your field or in your industry, see whether there's anyone that happy to put up the hand for you. However, if you're not, we're happy to assist, and perhaps we can help you to point in some direction to you, approaching some peak bodies. Myself has been living in Australia for quite a number of years. So we can see whether we can help you in terms of, approaching the right people to be able to have a nominee. But it is very important. It is compulsory. If it is no nominator or organization, the application will mostly unlikely to be successful. So this is quite important. I'll quickly touch on, we've talked about the Global Talent Visa is a faster processing priority visa, but would there be any delay? The answer is no, not that much, but the answer is also yes. If I write to the department, they will say there might be some delays of express of interest, but I've been saying case office reply emails pretty, early in the morning, even the weekend. There is a dedicated team to look at the GTI visa. However, there's no pretty much of guarantee of time. The quickest turnaround time, it could take in, I've seen approvals coming through as quick as 2 days and 7 days. Express interest average my client about 2 or 3 months. And also right now, the Australian government is also prioritize some of the professions that they think are critical to helping with the pandemic recovery. I've got a client who is doing COVID related to drug research. So his EOI was pretty much nominated within 2 business days. So, so they are on top of the GTI being prioritized, assessed. So even within that, they also prioritize some special professions if you think your profession can help with the pandemic and economic recovery. So I just leave it off COVID. Because I'm going to leave some time for you to ask a question, but I thought it's worthwhile to run through some of the typical questions that have been asked with a lot of my clients. The first one is that, is reputable and international recognition is important factor of eligibility? So the answer is definitely yes, and I've explained to that part. So without the international recognized nominator, the visa will not mostly likely to be approved, or your express interest will not likely to be invited. Some of the other, oops, it's coming with a strange mark on my screen. So what percentage of the 2020 quota is actually, it actually being a quite slice of cake with the compare with the whole migration quota in the last year. So last year, the whole migration cap plan for all kind of visa, including skill and a business visa, we have it at 160,000. So on top, with being that part, there will be family, there will be skill, there will be business migrant, but GTI is already taking 15,000, which is really a large slice of the cake. Sort of processing time of expecting EOI, I've touched just now around 2 or 3 months. If we get everything ready, if the documentation is complete. So this question is about, do I have to need a job offer from an Australian employer to prove that I have the ability to earn that income threshold? So the answer is, if you have a job offer, perfect, that's going to be helpful. But I presume most of you will have not an offer ready yet, while you don't have Australian permanent resident status. So you don't need to have an offer at this moment. Next question is, people do ask about whether when you're putting an expressive interest, whether there will be factor, considering are you going to be locating a regional or destination. So at this moment, it doesn't matter, and it has a limitation of where and how, which states, which region you like to live in the future. So it's not relevant. The question, I put up a question. So let's swap the situation. If you are a decision maker of a global talent office assessor, you are assessing hundreds of thousands of expressive interest every day. And what kind of application would you like to say? What information would you like to know? Obviously, the answer is complete application. So you need to help the assessor to understand your achievements, your description, job description has to be specified, your information has to be complete, and mostly likely your expressing interest will not be heard from for quite a long time if you don't have a complete application. So you really need someone professional, experienced, a team like Kitson that we're more than happy to help you. So quickly sharing some of the recent successful stories. You say we're putting this client is in the medical technology field. We're putting the expressive interest end of December, very quick, and launched the visa the day before Christmas. Even there's a big national day, a Christmas New Year holiday, the client get visa approved just straight after the mid of January. So it was pretty quick. So this client again is in agricultural technology sector. He's the old 124, which is offshore visa applicant. Again, we got a response back from department just within 1 month after we launched the EOI, but I perhaps spent about 3 weeks to helping the candidate to put up his CV, to list his achievements, get documentation translated, etc., etc. So once you have a decision-ready application, the turnaround time is pretty quick. Third successful story is a female in a space and advanced manufacturing. So the total time frame, starting from submitting EOI until visa granted is again within 3 months. This client even had a little bit hiccups with the visa because she couldn't get his overseas USA police clearance done. It has some delay, but still fairly quick. So the good thing about using a professional migration agent is we can actually guiding you. A lot of work can be happening parallelly, so you can save a lot of time. Alrighty, I hope I didn't get you guys bored, and I hope you have some information can be taken away today. I'm happy to hand it over for Jimmy to say is any particular questions. And then once again, thank you very much, Michael and Jimmy. Thanks for the team at Kitson. I was really felt very, honored and pleased to work with a reputable partner like Kitson that who has been operating in this industry for many years. So last thing before I sort of stop talking too much is that it is a great opportunity time, but it is important that if you think you are eligible, if you are interested, it's important to get the express of interest done as SP, just because there will be a lot of people are also very interested in the program. So if you wasn't sure you will be meet the criteria or not, even after today's presentation, get yourself ready, contact with the Kitson team now. I'm very happy to work with them to get through this process. So thank you very much again and good luck. So I'm gonna handing over to Jimmy now. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much,
Yeah.
Dorothy. Anyone have your question on the floor? You can please kindly unmute your mic and just ask the question directly.
Yep.
Currently, I have one question from actually Facebook. Dorothy, is from Mr. Walter. He was asking, he is currently in the agriculture field. So does agriculture field qualify him for this GTI visa?
Yes, Jimmy. Yes, Mr. Walter, right? Is his name?
Yes, correct.
So yes, agriculture, it is in the right sector, but we may need to take a little bit further of saying that, Mr. Walter's education background, what is it exactly he's doing, his role, his job responsibilities. But from a broader point of view, yes, agricultural science, agricultural technology, it is on top of the sector.
Okay, Mr. Walter, I hope you clear what Dorothy trying to say is agriculture is also within the top priority list of the GTI consideration. But before we were able to tell you, is it possible or not, we will require more information from you. If you could update us with your updated resume, let us have a look. No worry, we just have a look at your resume. From there, we were able to give you some advice on the possibility of the application. The second one is from Dr. Tommy. What about engineering and education?
Dr. Could you repeat?
Dr. Tommy.
Dr. Tommy. So yes, education is in the sector, engineering, because engineering is actually our overlapping professions, right? As you say, a few of the areas that I've talked about engineering quite a bit. So it depends on what type of engineering Dr. Tommy is, what are the field. So filling in a questionnaire that, Kitson team would have, and sending a detailed CV will also a very useful step. So what we normally do is we then can respond to you in writing of yes, we think you are, or not, we think you may not be eligible because of the reason, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, Dr. Tommy, it's good that if you can update us with your resume, let us have a look at it, then we were able to give you a more detailed update. The following question is, does the applicant have to be within the sector that you highlighted to us? If he or she is not within the per se sector that you just mentioned, but he or she is also highly recognized in his own field, can he also apply for the GTI visa?
It's a very good question, but in general speaking, the sector are very specified. So there might be some scenarios, exceptional cases we can, have a look, but the guideline was pretty, clear that has to be in the sector at this moment. So there are some candidates, for instance, their education background might not be falling. I'll just using agriculture as an example, right? So somebody, education background is not pretty much in that sector, but he or she is working in that sector. Mostly likely we can have some argument. But if somebody is doing marketing, right, extremely very good as selling properties, right, unfortunately at this moment, not on this sector yet. But GTI is only one of the migration pathway. There's heaps of other visa category. Perhaps, you can consider skill independent or regional sponsor or any type of working visa. So what I tend to work with Michael and Kitson team strategically is that even if we think you might not be eligible to GTI, we will be able to have a look at it horizontally at an overall point of view that whether there might be some other pathway can fit with you. But with the sector, it has to be quite specified. I hope that answered the questions.
Okay. The next question is from Doris. Doris' question is, she is currently working in a locally owned organization. How does she justify is her contribution or is her work, so to say, internationally recognized?
Yes, good question too. So if you work in a local organization, that's perfectly fine. But whether this organization itself has any international, associate. For instance, if someone mostly likely working at BHP, right, which I'm just throwing out examples, is mostly likely considered as international organization. So when we assess the eligibility of the candidate, so if some candidate has that great personal qualification, but the type of organization might not be international recognized, enough, we will more focus on his or her personal attributes, and we will look at whether he or she has any publications, any research patterns. So it's all quite situational, but doesn't mean that you have to work for a world name company to be able to qualify for GTI. It's a balance of assessing all aspects. And what is your organization's background related? Is your organization related to all the sectors that I've talked about? That's perhaps the first thing I want to ask. Yeah.
Okay, it's also a follow-up question from Doris. If someone is holding a qualification in finance, but is working in the field of ICT, so does it qualify her as an ICT or a finance?
Yeah, again, talents people ask highly talented question. This is we've in one of the clients we've worked through with Timothy is typically the same situation, that somebody has in finance sector background, but he is working in fintech technology. So in this case, I'll have a comparison. So which is more advantage to present in personal attributes, or is it more better to present organization? Depends on the position is, right? So if he's on a very senior position level, I perhaps put on the senior position, leader position, managerial type of the role. But if he's more, technical, it depends on also whether his qualification. At this moment, GTI education does make some differences. It tends like Department of Home Affairs, like high qualification people. So doctor degrees is mostly likely easier to get invited. If you have a master or a degree, then we need some argument to set up why and how do you, it's about a proof why you are exceptional, useful, why your skill and technology, your knowledge is important to Australian economy. Yeah, so it's actually not quite sort of one size fits in all answers to all those candidates. I'm happy to give more detailed information if we could have more information, CV about the candidate.
Okay, understand. Okay, the next question is, if someone were to granted this visa per se, he or she must get a job with an earning of 153,000?
Good question too. The beauty about GTI, as I mentioned to earlier of my presentation, is that, the candidate, first of all, once the visa get granted, Department of Home Affairs right now giving a fairly long period of time for the applicant or the family. Relocation is a big thing, right? You probably already still have some sort of contract still being in place in your home country. So we or Australian government did not expecting you give up your current job and move to the Australia pretty straight next day. So there's no, right now comparably, if I have a look at my recent approval letters to give you at least 1 year to get ready to move to Australia. And there is no requirement, there's no legally requirements to say you have to find a job. If you're not getting the job that, getting that threshold paid, there will be no any influences on your visa. Having said so, this is also another reason why I encouraging people, if you think you're qualified, do it ASAP. Because migration policy changed so dramatically. I think Michael would agree with me that we've been in this industry for so many years. Now, some people are saying the Global Talent Visa. Last year quota is 5,000. This year is 15,000. No one can predict after next year whether government is still wanting those talents. So this is all pretty much needs driven. At this moment, the country needs talents, but if they fill all the sectors, they're probably to say, we're going to hang on for a little while. We're going to say how well those talents is settled. So it's actually more important to grab the opportunity to get the visa. The next step, you can looking for a job. I think if you are actually be able to convince the global talent officer that you have the capability and there has to be documentation proven that, I would have no, I think I'll be having confidence that, you know, you will be able to find a job that income that has earned good money. If not, what is the point of migrating to Australia, right? So, and Australia is a country that has very completely, and I think is one of the well-regulated country, especially in employment side. So most of the people that I know, if they employed in defense sector, for instance, South Australia has a lot of heavily defense sector. I think the current payroll is way over that threshold. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Dorothy. I hope that answer your question. I don't know your name because you log in as iPhone. Okay. Okay. I think the next question is he or she asked actually, do we have to have a job offer? I think that Dorothy pretty much covered. With a job offer will be pretty good, but even without a job offer, there's not saying no to the application. The following question is from Puva. Puva is a senior ICT manager. She has been working as a cybersecurity program manager and also been working with a leading oil and gas for the past 9 years, total of 15 years working experience. At the same time, with also MSc project management, he also a master degree holder. On top of it, the husband, Puva's husband is a general surgeon specialist. Okay. So if she were to try the application, what say you, Dorothy?
I perhaps would recommend to try the you talk about he's in
cybersecurity.
Yeah, cybersecurity. I think probably pick the cybersecurity field would sound more strong. It's a surgeon specialist. It could fit in the medical area as well. But then we need to demonstrate, you know, why he or she is so good at this. You know, what is the difference of her skill compared with a lot of local and compared with, you know, surgeon in the same sector in Australia. So it's a matter of using who as a main applicant, whose qualification is better. But from general speaking, probably sounds they all fall in at least the right sector. So remember those 3 elements. Number 1, right sector. Number 2, proving you are internationally outstanding. Right. This is not of, you know, a very clearly definition, but there are some measurements tools we can use that. The third one, yeah, we have to be able to, you know, identify either yourself to do a nominator. So we can compare which one is easier to match in the 3 pillars then to get a successful outcome.
Okay, thank you, Puva. I hope I answer your question. I think in generally, if you are interested in the Global Talent Visa Program, we encourage you to send us your resume.
Yes,
if possible, you and your partner, both of you, let us have a look. In Kitson's, we only take the case that we are comfortable with. If knowing the fact that you have no chance on applying this visa per se, we will not take your case. We will just tell you, sorry, we can't help you. Okay. This is the time that we have for today. If you have any further question, please do email us or contact the person who have invited you to this seminar, and then we will try to get back to you as soon as possible. The last person who joined us are Engage SEA. Okay. I'm sorry that you were late. The presentation was over, but you can actually email your resume to us, then we will get back to you. May I know who invite you to this seminar? Then you can also contact the person who invite you. You can forward your resume to the person who invite you to the seminar. He or she will then personally attend to your queries. Okay, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us today. And this is all the time that we have. For those who are first time with us, do like our page to keep you up to date on time to time on the migration changes and the regulation. Thank you again, Dorothy. Thank you, Michael. And everybody have a nice weekend and a safe weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.